let me just make sure it's playing on Facebook and we'll get started, okay?
Okay.
But yeah, what I was saying was that because this is sort of such a last minute thing, that there's a good chance that a lot of people won't log on because it's so last minute, but it's great that it's going to be on Facebook. I'm going to save this conversation so we can upload it and folks can share it, right?
Okay.
Okay. So, we can't see you, Ms. Nixon. I can't see you.
Can you
see Lindsey, right? You see Lindsey, Ms. Nixon?
I don't see. I see you, but I don't see anybody else.
Okay. Well, we're here. I see Lindsey. I don't see
are you on a cell phone?
Yes.
If you swipe left, it might give you all of the.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Got it. But you guys can't see me, but I can see you guys. I can see Leslie and Jasmine now, but I can't see Miss Nixon because I guess the camera is not. Oh, okay.
She is. Hey.
Okay.
I see her now. Hey.
See, my phone it keeps telling me something about when I hit start video, it says unable to access camera. Allow Zoom to access your camera from device.
So weird. I don't know what that's about. That is so weird. But anyways, we can hear you, so that's fine. Okay. So ladies, I have my drink in hand because we are celebrating. So I had to make me a quick drink before we hopped on here. Hopefully Miss Joyce will join us. I've asked Miss Nana to join us. Let me text her right quick. Let me text her. I'm just gonna showing video on Zoom. Jump on. Couldn't email. Okay, so we're good. So as soon as Nana, I'm gonna give her a couple more minutes, and then I'm gonna show you guys the video of what happened after court today. But so Lindsey, I called all three. I called Miss Nixon, Miss Joanne, Miss Joyce, and we had like a four-way call. And I told them everything blow by blow that happened, but you are also there. So feel free.
Thank you. Thank you for showing up.
Go ahead.
I mean, it was a lot. And I guess for me to hear what sort of story is being portrayed is always going to be very interesting every step of the journey, right? My purpose in being there, obviously, I want to make sure that I keep my community safe. And there were people who reached out to me expressing concern about the possibility of this person potentially being back out. And, so that's why one of the reasons why I wanted to be there. Obviously, I certainly feel a great deal of responsibility, and also want to make sure that I'm supporting people who are understandably grieving, all understandably upset, and understandably, waiting, hoping that justice will be served. But that room, the stories that were told and how it was told was very interesting. And I'm glad that I was there to support Jasmine, given what was said in that room, because it will be very interesting to see the next period of time.
Yeah. I told them earlier how I didn't expect what happened in court to happen today. Like, it was weird for me because we were just, like I told you guys, we were just sitting there And, you know, what was the first thing they did was they spent a lot of time making sure, remember, he was okay with being on video instead of being in person. And then after that, it was like the judge launched into the whole petition thing and the email I sent. And I was just like, oh, I was like, okay. But yeah, Christopher Darden, I see we gonna have a war of the words from now through the trial, because he is clearly going to be putting on a show. He's clearly going to be putting on a show. I am going to be the devil. I am going to be the villain. I am going to be the one who's getting rich and who's using it for political advancement. And even though I cannot organize myself to the nail shop or the hair salon every week or every 2 weeks, I somehow managed to organize protests at Buck's house every week. I don't know how that worked out, but according to Darden, that's what I did.
Wow.
But Lindsey's exactly right. Like, we're going to hear a lot of tales and a lot of stories that they're going to make up. Just, I mean, today alone, Lindsey, correct me if I'm wrong, was the message not our client is feeble and old and susceptible to COVID? Like, that was basically, poor Ed Buck, he's old, he doesn't deserve to be in there.
Also, a fine, upstanding citizen who holds positions of leadership, has strong roots in the community, and other things that, you know, didn't really resonate with my experience or the experience of other people.
Oh, an upstanding member of the Democratic Party. Yeah, you know, it was, they, you know, they're earning their money. They are earning their money. That
yes,
Christopher Darden wasn't too ashamed to talk about either. So I have the video. I think I was trying my hardest to get this on Facebook, but for some reason it's not going on Facebook, and I thought it would be. But I'm gonna share my screen so that you guys can see for yourself what was said today. Remember what I said before, I am not used to being a Zoom host, so I am learning as I go. Okay, I'm gonna, hopefully when I share my screen, you'll also be able to hear it, so you guys gotta let me know if you don't hear it, okay? Definitely let me know if you see it, okay? Okay. You see it, right?
Yes.
Okay, can you hear this?
Yes.
Okay.
Based on the court's comments at the end, were that that Mr. Buck is getting adequate health care, and the coronavirus numbers are very low in DC. Had there been sufficient evidence to it's important. You see, at the end of the day, this is about the process. It's about the system working for everybody. So, as it stands now, he's not going to. And I do want to express one thing. Just like outside of the political opinion, it seems that Mr. Buck, people believe that Mr. Buck murdered Gemmel more intensely. That's patently not correct. Not only is he not charged with it, he's charged with furnishing. And furnishing causing death. That is not murder. So the court could have released him. The court decided not to. Would not a 65-year-old man, advancing age, he has health conditions that correspond with advancing age. And he would have been confined to a safe space, and he would have been under the supervision of either the U.S. Marshal Service, definitely pretrial service, and if you was only a so there would be no activity that could led to types of things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed like a sympathy plea today for Ed Buck today, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, like I said, they painted him out to be this old feeble person.
Yes.
Christopher Darden did this thing during his rebuttal, because Creary gave the original argument, and Darden did the rebuttal, and Darden said, "Take off your mask. I want you to see." You know, and so Ed Buck takes off his mask, and he has this humongous beard, and Darden's like, "Yes, this is hygiene in MCD. They get to take a shower every 2 days. They don't have access to razors. Look at my client."
Wow.
That was supposed to be like, at least he gets to he's alive to take a shower.
Exactly.
Right? I don't know. But yeah, it was really interesting watching these two Black men defend Ed Buck. Like that.
Yeah, that is a bit much. I mean, seriously? Yeah.
But I give it up to the judge.
And what was he saying about the charges? He said something about there's no murder charge, or it's a possession charge.
Yeah, so basically he's arguing against the court of public opinion. A lot of people feel, including myself, that Ed Buck murdered Timothy Dean. And so Attorney Ludlow is saying, well, he's not charged with murder. He's only charged with furnishing drugs that caused the death, as if somehow that like makes it better, right?
Yeah, that makes it better. That's a little bit lighter. I don't think so.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was I think I told Lindsay on the way back, and I think I mentioned it to you guys on when I called you earlier, that I was so happy that I had the wherewithal to send that email to the judge, and that I signed all of our names, because I don't think, and Lindsay, you could weigh in here if you feel comfortable doing so, but I don't think the judge would have took it as seriously as she did if your names were not attached to that petition and that email that I sent.
I'm not an attorney, but from how she described it, according to the Victims of Crime Act or something like that, that because you are relatives of the victims and your signatures were on the email, that caused her to consider the email differently than signatories on the petition who may or may not have relationship. And so I think Jasmyne's right that made definitely made a difference.
Oh, great. Well, good looking out. I'm glad you did that.
I know. And when I play it back in my head, I'm just like, whoa, because what happened was I was in the office and I had a 2 o'clock appointment and a 3 o'clock appointment. And I said, well, you'll just talk on the phone while you're driving to your 3 o'clock, right? And I remember before I left the office, I was like, oh, wait, send this email. And then I just sent it to the prosecutor. And then something said, go online and see if there's an email for the judge. And I'm so grateful that I did that, because I don't know. And again, Lindsay, weigh in if you want to. I don't know if I'd have just sent it to the prosecutor, the judge would have dealt with it in the way that she dealt with it. I think because it came directly to her, it was dealt with differently.
I agree, yes.
I mean, that's the sense that I got.
Yeah, I was really hoping that she had reviewed all of the signatures and also the statements that we had written. I was hoping that she was able to read all of that and take, that into consideration, because I was just terrified. Just even the thought of this man being released, because he is clearly clearly a danger, to society, and cannot be trusted. And he would definitely, in my opinion, kill again. So I just the thought of them even considering this man to get out for all these months until the trial, I was just devastated. I was very afraid that this would just be another horror story.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what the U.S. attorney argued, part of what she argued also, that they were asking for him to be released to his home, which I'm not sure what that home is.
Right.
That, if he were released to someone's home, that is, his home at the time, which he apparently no longer has, but his home at the time was the place where these things happened. So why, that was part of her argument, releasing somebody back to the very place where these things are alleged to have happened. Didn't seem like a strong argument.
Yeah,
right.
At one point I was sitting there and I was like, is she reading from the petition? Because because when she, remember Lindsay, when Chelsea was going over all the stuff, I was like, oh, because and we never conferred with them, but it's interesting. We came up with the same arguments. We came up with the exact same arguments for why Ed Buck should not be free.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I concur. Yeah,
it was. I mean, and then of course, I talked to Ms. Nixon a little bit about this. I am going to be the one that is getting rich. I'm going to be the one that is using this for my political advantage. I am going to be, I mean, what else did he say? He said I was using it for money, using it for political advantage, that I organized those protests at his house every week. I feel like he said something else that was hugely insulting as well, but I can't remember. But I'm clear that, oh yeah, Lindsay, remember he said I prepped the witnesses.
Oh yes.
Wow. He sure has a lot of
insight. I prepped the witnesses and handed them to the prosecutors. Like all of their victims came from me.
Wow. Seems like he's a little bit threatened.
But
about your position.
Clearly he yes, and he knows exactly who I am.
Right.
Here, Christopher Dard knows who I am.
He
He knows that I was politically active and had a name and was a leader long before the name Ed Buck ever came into my world. I didn't even know really who Ed Buck was. I feel like I was in the same room with him at a couple of these, political events, but I didn't know. Ooh, Nana has joined us. Hey, Nana. I love seeing her name pop up. Hey, beautiful Black woman. You're on mute, I think. Let me unmute her. But yeah, so I mean, I'm just clear that that's the case. And for me, and I think it's Nana could probably speak to this, and I think all of you guys can speak to this, but it's going to be very hard to sit there when people are lying on you.
Oh, absolutely.
And dragging you through the mud and not say anything. Because I was so offended by the thought that I'm getting, like, I took a vacation day today to go to court. Literally took a vacation day. So if I am getting rich, why do I work so hard? Like, why right after court, and Lindsay can attest to this, I came home. Like, I was ready to go right back in and come and start working again. I think you were telling me, Lindsay, you took a vacation day, take the day off. And I was like, no, I got work to do. Like, but no, according to Christopher Darden, I'm getting rich. And I don't know what political advantage there is to it, but if it gets me somewhere where I can help my people, I would certainly take that advantage.
Right.
Oh, Nana, I played the video. I can play it again. Do you want to see it? because I couldn't
It's
send
okay.
it.
Everyone else has seen it. You've already talked about it. It's fine. I just haven't seen it.
I'm gonna email it to you. I kept trying to email it to you, and it was like not going through, and I was like, oh. But I'm gonna try one more time to send it to you, because I
Okay.
wanted you to, be able to. I mean, you've heard all this trash talk before, so I mean, none of it's going to be new to you.
Okay.
But yeah, Ludlow was trying to paint his client out as being feeble and old and this and that, and reminding us all that Epic was not charged with murder, that he was charged with furnishing drugs that led to a death.
He thinks that's something good.
I'm just telling you that, I mean, yes. So, I so wish you would have been in court today, girl.
I could not be in court. My apologies. I was in the
It-
friendly skies.
You would have had a ball today.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that they're defense attorneys. Like, I'm a defense attorney. So, I mean, in terms of criminal defense, so they're gonna try to say what they can say to try to help their client. I mean, this is the way the system is set up, is an adversarial system. You got one crew on one side, another crew on the other side, and the thing is that we, we who are the community, we who are the family members, we who are trying to be supportive, it's like we have to keep the energy going for ourselves, because these other people are going to do what they're going to do. Like you said, they're going to say things that are lies. They're going to say things that you may not even want them to say. I mean, even as, I'm not a prosecutor friend, I'm a defense attorney, but I know that victims, family members of victims, sometimes have issues with prosecutors because they won't present the person, their loved one, in the way that we want them to be presented in. So we're going to have to be on them on both sides to make sure that the true story of what's happening is what is out there, because that's not the game that the system plays. The system isn't set up for anyone to tell the truth. It's not, as I say to you all the time, Jasmine, this is not Law and Order. This is not Olivia Benson. This is not these shows where you can clearly tell who's good and who's bad. The system is corrupt to its core. That's why Breonna Taylor's murderers are not indicted. I mean, it is what it is, right? And so it's important that if we want the true story to be out there, that we're going to have to continue to put the pressure. Really thankful that you were able to make it to court and that you are able to tell us what the truth is, because clearly if we leave it to Ludlow or anyone else, I don't know what the prosecutors even put out there, from their end to make sure that the true story is out there.
They didn't
So
come
it's important that we
downstairs. They left, like, how prosecutors are after court. They didn't bother to go to
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So if we're not there, if we're not telling the story, if we're not bringing our perspective, it's not going to happen, right? Because, you know my perspective. In this system, there are no angels. Both sides are playing a system. That's the way the system is set up to be that way. And they're going to play their part. So we have to be the ones that are going to be the clean glass of water that's next to whatever murky stuff they put up.
Yeah, I was saying before you had jumped on that, and to your point about the prosecutors, that I don't know that the petition would have got the play it got in court today had I not sent it to the judge. Because Chelsea had it, but I don't, look, I didn't know how she was going to present it. If she was going to present, the judge made that like the focal point, the first thing she dealt with after, you okay being on video? Good. We're going to do, this is what she talked about. So I don't know.
Do know, because they, the prosecution did not want to have victim statements on the bail issue.
You know what?
That's something that I raised. And I was like, hey, you were saying, hey, is there a way? What can we do? And I was like, you know what? We could do some victim statements and have them submit the statements directly, like declarations as to why, what their perspective was. And she was like, no, she didn't want to do that, which is then where Jasmine, then got the brilliant idea of doing a petition. But, to me, that is what we should be doing. I mean, that's what I had said. We should get statements and we should put the declarations in directly, because that's what I would do, right? Is I would, and she didn't want to do that. So no, I think that, in this system, anyone coming from that perspective is like an outsider, is like, not an outsider, but you're outside, you're coloring outside of the lines. And that to them feels like a lack of control. And they want to be able to control the situation as much as possible. And for us, we want to control the situation. Our goal is not for anyone to be in control of the truth and the expression of the truth, but and what that looks like, but family, but community. We're not trying to leave that up to the system.
Yeah. Sorry I stepped away. I heard everything you said. I'm cooking my dinner. I had to take my rosemary potatoes out the oven so that they wouldn't burn.
The thing I wanted to do was, it's interesting to me that the judge is female, the U.S. attorneys who spoke today were both female, and the advocate who was attacked by the defense is also female. And the depiction of the work that women are doing in the pursuit of justice as self-serving, as money hungry, or in all of the ways that it was characterized in the room today, unfortunately is nothing new for women, especially Black women.
Right.
And I think that's abhorrent. But I also think that it shows who's sort of leading this charge, who's holding space for this conversation to be had, and who cares enough to make sure that there's actually an opportunity for justice in all of this case. And I think that that dynamic was really interesting in the room as well, I thought.
I agree. I thought it was interesting too, and I think it's interesting also because it was like women of all different races, but it was women, and for the most part, even within this whole fight for justice for Gemmel and Timothy, it is women. It is mothers. It is sisters. It is attorneys. It is mayors. It's advocates. But it's women. Like, women are pushing this forward. And trust me, no worries. I will make sure that the real story gets told, the true story gets told. You don't have to worry about that. I will definitely make sure the real story is told. But it doesn't escape me though that there are women. That women are pushing this, making this an issue. I mean, if Ms. Nixon hadn't been so adamant about her son's death and knowing that it wasn't an accident, I don't think any of us would be here right now, quite honestly. I can't say that we would be. And we were, Ms. Nixon and I were on the phone earlier, and we were just remarking, I had not really thought about it, but it has been 3 years, Nana. 3 years, Lindsey. 3 years.
Wow.
3 years, like, really? Like, I'm like, ooh, this has been 3 years. But you know what? When I went through a situation with Matrice Richardson's family, and we went through that for years and years and years too. That's why it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? I mean, this could go on.
How long did Margaret work on the Grim Sleeper case? She started that in the 1980s.
Right. Yeah.
That was like over 20 years.
Yeah.
Jasmine, do you want to talk about how your friend described himself?
Oh, the high-priced attorney, the high-paid, what was a high-paid, high-priced, well-known around the world, And that was in the context of why Ed Butt doesn't have $3.4 million in liquid assets, but just a little under $2 million. And part of the reason for that is because of stocks. His investments took a hit because of COVID. But then the other part of that is because he hired well-known attorneys from well-known around the world attorneys who are high priced. And that's another reason why he don't have $3.4 million. And Christopher Darden made sure on the record it is known that he controls Ed Buck's bank account and money right now. He's controlling them.
I'm sure he does because he wants to make sure to get paid.
He's getting paid.
So
Right.
I have no doubt that that's the case. But I mean, that's why they're hired. Christopher Darden is well known. He is high priced. He is.
I knew he
Christopher
wasn't
Darden,
working for free.
is from Ghana to England. If you say Nana Gyamfi, don't nobody know who that is other than the people in LA. It just is what it is. It is what it is, and that's why they're in that space.
He's talking about me getting paid. I got a 9 to 5. I got a job. I run a business. I do volunteer work. I got a bunch of stuff going on in my life. He and Ludlow are the only ones that I know out of this whole situation that are getting paid buku bucks to the tune of, I think, $1 million. So he got some nerve.
Yeah, absolutely. They're getting paid.
I wish I had $1 million. Lord have mercy. Get on my nerves. But that's what it's gonna be like. I mean, this is what it's gonna be like going into January. This is what it's gonna be like in January, and I'm ready for it. I am all ready for it. I mean, at first I was gonna play nice because he's a black man, and I know Nana's gonna be like, "Rrr." But here, look at the thing, okay? Now, I know I have to separate the man from the actor, but every time I think of Christopher Darden, I think of The People versus OJ. And I really, really love, I knew you were going to do that. I love the person who played him in that. And so I get all sympathetic. Because you remember the scenes where he would go home and he would have to get it from his family and stuff. And he was really struggling with his identity and stuff. Fuck Christopher Darden. I am clear that is not who he is, but if he's gonna be name calling, I'm gonna be name calling right back at him.
And he's ready for that. I mean, the thing is,
I don't really want to do that though.
You already said the man was fat the last time we had this Zoom. You started already, so you might as well just keep going down the road.
I'm fat too, for the record, so it's another fat person calling a man fat.
It don't matter. It still wasn't nice.
But he was very sloppy today. I think that he was running behind schedule or something because he was wrinkled and very disheveled today going into court. And I was thinking to myself, I mean, you this high-priced attorney that's known all around the world, why do you look like that?
Because he doesn't have to get dressed anymore to get paid. That's why.
Is that what
he can go in pajamas? He gonna get paid. He doesn't have to care about that. I mean, the thing is that I think it's going to be very interesting to see whether this case in fact goes to trial, or how it goes to trial, how they actually do the trial. It's publicity for them, so it's a lot more about how they talk to the media. Like Ludlow talking to the media, I can see that because Ludlow, even though he's been on the grind for a long time, he doesn't have the reputation or the whatever that Darden has. So, he can do a lot of the grunt work. Darden can look disheveled. Ludlow can do the work, and Ludlow ain't gonna look disheveled. Ludlow is a cigar club going type dude. That's one of his favorite things in life. So, he's gonna have a certain look and this and that, and he's hoping that he's gonna come up. And, and that's what I'm talking about with the sort of the baseness of it. It's actually beneath the quest for justice that we're on. The type of thinking and games playing that people are doing, including the defense counsel at this point. It's beneath justice. It's like, yes, according to what you learn on Law and Order, The prosecutor's supposed to be pursuing justice. Of course, I think that's fantasy, but we'll put that to the side. But as defense, that doesn't mean you just get to not do that, right? And so, but in this situation, it's clear that justice is really not the goal here. Even on the defense end, that it really is about, hey, how can we have this and make this something that's going to allow us to be even more in the public eye, because you don't get to stay the high-priced, well-known attorney if you don't keep picking up cases. You know, otherwise, why do you, you know, agree to represent Nipsey Hussle's killer or a alleged killer? You don't do these things unless it's like, okay, it's gonna put you in the limelight in some kind of way. And you know, you and Jasmine, you and I talk about this all the time. These attorneys, high-priced attorneys, cut each other's throats trying to chase these cases to stay in the media, and it has very little to do with justice.
Well, in my defense, because I put some of these high-priced lawyers in the media, the ones that I work for are not ambulance chasers, and they are very good. Shout out to the Cochran firm and Carl Douglas. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I'm just so happy we scored another win today. So, you know, I'm keeping track of our L's and our W's, our wins and our losses, right? We won when we got him arrested, and we won today because he's going to stay in jail. And hopefully we'll get another win in January. And that's, I mean, you know, and I know that Christopher Darden is going to bring it. Why shouldn't he? He gets paid whether Ed Buck goes free or he doesn't, right? So he's got nothing to lose. And I'm ready for it. I know he's going to attack me. He's going to attack Ms. Nixon. He's going to attack Timothy Dean's family. He's probably going to attack you too, Lindsey. He's going to attack all of us to make it seem like we just had something against Ed Buck and that we just really, you know, hated him for some reason. I didn't even know who the hell Ed Buck was really before. I don't recall him. I only think that maybe there might have been an event or two that I was at that he was at, just because of my involvement in the LGBTQ community in terms of politics. But I didn't really know who he was. So, but I'm ready for that. And I was telling Ms. Nixon earlier, Nana and Lindsey, that in January, we just have to walk around in a coat of armor, and we cannot let what they say affect us, because it will depress us, it will make us angry, it will make us want to defend ourselves. I mean, I thought about it for half a second, Nana, when we went downstairs. Susan Hiroshima, Fox 11 News, her first question to me was, well, what do you think about him painting you as a blah, 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 blah? And I told you, Nana, I was just like, well, I would have done the same thing. He's defense counsel. What do you expect? You think he'll come in there and say Jasmine's the greatest thing since sliced bread? So, I mean, that's what it's going to be. So I don't expect anything different when he talks about Gemmel. So I mentioned, Nana and Lindsey, when I spoke to the families earlier, that awkward moment in court. I don't know if you remember this, Lindsey. I think it was either Darden or Ludlow. I can't remember which one, that talked about Ed Buck was in a relationship with Gemmel and he was longtime friends with Timothy Dean. And that was just awkward and creepy, right?
Yes.
And I don't know what he meant by the word relationship, but I know how it came off, okay? And so when I said that to Ms. Nixon, I could immediately feel through the phone that didn't sit right with her. And I, look, I'm sorry, Ms. Nixon, but the agreement is I tell y'all everything, right? I said I would tell you everything, whether it was good, bad, or ugly, right? And that is what was said. And I think there's going to be a lot more of that if it makes it all the way to trial.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You already know that because he already proclaimed his love and his this and his that. And, Ms. Nixon was like, really? Well, how come you didn't do this and you haven't done this and you haven't done this? This is way before, right? And so, that's going to happen because they're going to, remember, he acts like he was helping people. Like he was some kind of place that people could go for safety and refuge.
They just made bad decisions, bad life decisions. Isn't that what Seymour Hamster said?
And they're going to keep that going. They got to keep that going because otherwise it's criminal minds. You know what I'm saying? So they've got to make it something else. And so they got to keep that going. And yes, I agree with you, Jasmine. You know, folks just have to be prepared for that to happen. And we're prepared because they're not saying anything that Ms. Nixon that you haven't heard before. You've had to defend yourself as a mother. You've had to talk about your love for your son, you know, make it clear that you didn't kick him out because he's gay, that you didn't, you know, all of these things, you already know what's coming. And you've already beautifully, clearly addressed it squarely in ways that, you know, no jury, if you were called to testify, could hear and think anything different. You know what I mean? And so I'm not worried about that. You know, when I hear the sisters talk about Timothy, yes, they're going to bring up all kinds of things, but you're already ready for that because they've already done it, right?
Right.
You've had this time. In Ms. Nixon's case, she's had 3 years. You know, for you all, it hasn't been that, you know, the same period of time, but it's still long enough that you're prepared. There's nothing that you have not already handled, not even that you can't handle, but you've already handled it. So it's just a question of putting those stones back in your stomach and being able to do it again.
Yeah, I'm moving through it. We will. I don't want to hold you guys much longer. It's 5:44, but I just, you know, Ms. Nixon, when we were on the phone, she brought up that we should get on a Zoom. And originally my thought was, I think I said, well, let me see what worked for next week for everybody. But then as we kept talking, I was like, oh, you know what, let me just see who's available today. Because today, in my head, I was thinking I was tired. I don't feel like getting on no Zoom. Let's figure out what we can do next week. But in my heart, I was like, girl, you know that Zoom conversation need to happen today because today is the day that the bail hearing took place. So I'm happy my heart won out. And I'm happy that Ms. Nixon mentioned that to me and that we were all, for the most part, we're missing Ms. Joyce, but I'm happy that Ms. Joanne is here, that we were able to get together. And again, Lindsey, I can't thank you enough for coming to court today. Honestly, I wouldn't have wanted to go through what I went through today by myself because I didn't know any of that was going to happen today. And I think I had told you, Nana, that you know, there was this like half a second there where I was going to have to get up and go and speak, and I was thinking in my head, you know, but I was going to do it. If she would have came back and said, yes, I need you to get up there, I would definitely have done it. But none of that was even in my purview when we came to court. I thought we were literally just going to sit and watch the proceedings. And also, there was no one there from the community but us.
And I think it's, you know, safe to say that, at least for my part, I learned a lot in watching how the dynamics worked. But I also, at no point felt a sense of joy. It's not like we're rejoicing in this process. You know, people have died. Families are broken. Hearts are broken. This is not a moment where we are, you know, throwing parties. This is a moment where we're hoping that the justice system, whatever exists of it, actually does in some way what it's intended to do. And I think, you know, that's my hope. And we see what happens when people don't watch the justice system. And we see what happens even when people are watching very closely in the justice system, that it doesn't always serve what we believe is intended. And so I guess I just want to say, you know, we're going to go through this process and, you know, hopefully I'm concerned about the safety of my community. I'm concerned about people who come to my community. I'm concerned about, you know, families who have experienced grief and, you know, extraordinary, there isn't even words for what you have experienced. And I don't want to presume to know anything about what you all have experienced, but I do know that, you know, we're here for each other. I think Jasmine has done an extraordinary job of helping to tell the story and keep people together. And, you know, for my part, I just want you to know how much I care and, you know, am here for you. And, you know, it's going to be a journey for sure.
It is. And
We'll get
thank
through
you
it
for that.
together.
We
You know,
will. We will.
nobody else can get hurt, and that's a good thing. So, you know, I'm just grateful that Buck can keep his butt in there. And I feel that if he cared so much about Gemmel and he gave so much money to all the other politicians, why he didn't pay for Gemmel's funeral then? Why we had to do a GoFundMe? He was in his house. He killed him. You know, why he didn't pay the coroner bill? So his actions showed how much he actually cared for Gemmel, and I'm gonna leave it at that. But I just want to say, Jasmine, thank you for everything. I want to say, Nana, thank you, and I want to say, Lindsey, thank you so much. You have took a lot of backlash for us. Thank you for everything. You've been there from day one. Never doubted us. We love you. I love all you guys. Thank you so much.
And I concur, Lindsey. Thank you for your support for our brother and Jasmine and Nana. You know that we're very grateful and appreciative to all that you all do for us. And we just have to stay strong. And I look forward to being in the courtroom every day to hearing this case and seeing how it's presented and praying for victory for all of us. So.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it too. You know, we will, Nana and myself, hopefully Hussein and Jerome and other folks, we are going to get together, figure out the plan for all of you for the time that you are here for the duration of the trial, so that we can make sure that we just have everything down packed and that, you know, we're able to get to court together. You know, you guys have dinner in the evening. Like we understand that we need to take care of you guys in January when you're here, because every day is going to be a hard day, listening to what you're going to hear in court. And so I think for me, now that I know Ed Buck's going to stay in jail, that's like my next thing is, you know, we're going to figure out from the prosecutors what they're going to do and not going to do in terms of bringing you guys here. And then just figure out ways to raise money to make sure that we can take care of you guys in terms of lodging and food and travel and all that stuff when you guys, when it's time for the trial. Things change all the time, as Nana will tell you. The trial is scheduled now. Who knows, it could be pushed again, especially if we have another outbreak of COVID that is really, really bad.
Right.
But, you know, right now we're looking at January, which, you know, coincidentally happens to come, it's a little bit after the 2-year anniversary, right, of your brother your brother being killed.
Right.
So it's the timing is I think is great. It's a great way to start off the new year. Let's start off the new year with a win. And, you know, everyone on the call, with the exception of Nana, probably would have no problem with starting off the new year by sending somebody to prison, Nana excluded. But she knows what I mean. Well, that's the truth, right?
It is absolutely the truth. Abolition.
That is my sister.
It is true.
So let me tell y'all something. For the record, before we get off of here, I made a mistake when I sent that letter to the judge. I accidentally put Nana's name on it. Now, the reason why that was a mistake is because we were asking her to deny bail, and Nana is an abolitionist. And it never crossed my mind not to put Nana's name on the letter. She politely reminded me not to ever do that again. And I was like, oh my God, I literally had a brain fart. Like, I did not remember that. And she knew it wasn't malicious, it wasn't on purpose. But, you know, I have to like remember, you know, because I love jails and prisons. I do. And for bad people. I'm down with bail reform and all of that other stuff. But when it comes to bad people like Ed Buck, throw away the key. But my dear sister Nana, wants to find a different way to dish out justice. And I'm with her on that too. We can find that different way and put it into practice. Maybe I will join you on that abolitionist tip, okay? But we're not there yet. But I love you all. It is 5:53 and I seriously want to eat dinner. And I also know that it's late where you are, Nana, where you are, Miss Nixon, and where you are, Miss Joanne. But you know, what I'm going to do, I'm going to save the conversation. I'm going to upload it. I'll send you guys the link so you guys can share it. I'm so happy we were able to do it today because our feelings are fresh. Our memory is fresh, right, Lindsay? We can remember everything because it just happened.
I couldn't possibly forget.
Yes, yeah. And you know what I meant to tell you, Lindsay, but I didn't tell you. Did you know Seymour didn't show up at court today? I mean, Nana, you know, wasn't surprised by that, but I kind of half thought Seymour might have showed up at court today, but he didn't show up at court today.
He has to be a lead attorney, and he's already said that he's kind of been put to the side. I think they just have him because he's Buck's friend to talk to Buck. But you have to see Seymour in court. Seymour and Darden and Ludlow cannot be in the same court together. Seymour takes up all the air in the room.
Oh, that would be like putting Carl Douglas and Brian Dunn in the same courtroom, or Johnny Cochran and the Carl Douglas of today in the same courtroom. They are, what would the term be? Orators? They are litigators. They are speakers. They talk. You're right. They suck up all the energy. They are good at what they do.
And Darden and Ludlow are not going to have that there. Because I'm telling you, Seymour, he comes from a vaudeville family and he acts like a vaudeville person.
You told me that. So
Yes.
I remember the first time when we found out Seymour was the attorney, that was the first thing you said. He comes from a vaudeville family.
He's like Nana on steroids, really. I mean, in terms of like showmanship, he's like showmanship, and they're not going to be able to be in the same space as him.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. Ladies, please enjoy your weekend. I have several drinks for you. I'm telling you, I've been sitting here, I keep pouring. But I love you all, and thank you so much. And I just want to say one more time, Lindsay, thank you so much for being there today. It was so helpful. It meant a lot, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You don't have to
Thank you, everyone.
Tell your residents that they are safe. That they are safe. Yes.
Good news today.
Yes.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Lindsay.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.